three.
Hello, everybody. My name is James Wilson, and I, like you, have come to the website, and I'm interested in the Innovators and Entrepreneurship course, specifically around human design, because I've been doing self-study of human design for about 5 years now. And I came across Christopher's website, and I had a number of questions on whether this would be a worthwhile experience. And through what powers that be, I was able to connect with Christopher, and I had the opportunity here to speak with him, and he was generous enough to actually step me through all the modules, because again, I wasn't sure if it was worth the investment. And so we wanted to put together this video and give you the same experience that I'm going to have now, to be able to go through the modules and not only get an overview, but ask any questions that I might have, and hopefully there'll be questions that you would have as well.
Great. Welcome, everyone, and thanks, James. And look, let's just start. I'll start with something, and just you jump in and ask questions as we go, James. Just feel totally free to, make this a free-flowing conversation. It's called Human Design for Innovators and Entrepreneurs, and the emphasis is innovators and entrepreneurs, not human design. In fact, we were playing around with just calling it innovators and entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, this is a program where we focus on the benefits that human design brings into the lives of innovators and entrepreneurs. The real benefits to business and to investment, even beyond just building a business, but investing your time and energy, investing your money in businesses or in communities or whatever it is that you invest your energy into. And for innovators, how, really knowing how we operate in the material world is going to be so important for the future, for future innovation, how human beings are uniquely different. For so long, we've been operating as though we're all the same. Reminds me of Monty Python, and we're all individuals. Yes, we're all individuals.
Yeah, maybe I could add too that I've gravitated towards this so much since I've been out of the military. I'm a veteran. I've been out for about 5 years, and any veteran I speak to has a shared experience of teamwork, and specifically of thinking in group settings, and I think that's the essence of what Christopher's program is about here, is how to effectively work in a group by knowing yourself as much as possible and gaining self-knowledge.
Yeah, spot on. The whole end section, this is the version 2. We developed Human Design for Innovators and Entrepreneurs a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years now, and originally released it and had some success with it. And we looked at the whole thing and said, what, we can make this tighter, more focused, and we can also bring in this really revolutionary work we've been doing with creating fantastic teams. And we put that at the end, and now it feels like this program is complete, because the first part of the program really focuses on you as an individual, and the most crucial practical part of that, how you make decisions in real life, in business, about your own personal life, about getting along and working with other people in a way that actually works for you, in a way that works for them. Now, people haven't emphasized this, but when you're making decisions in the way that truly works for you, then it starts drawing you into the place where you're with the people you belong with. Mm-hmm. And that then means that the decisions you're making work for the people you're with. And actual consequence of that down the line is people start grouping together in teams or in groups, first of all, of people that they really work with, that they feel good with, that they're meant to be with, you could call it that are right for them to work with. Mm-hmm. And those groups have the capacity of becoming real teams, what we call fantastic teams. And when you get that, you get a level of performance and a level of development and a level of connection and community or ability to work together that you occasionally see on sports fields, or if you're in the military, as you have been, that you experience. That's where you have to get get the job done. And at that level, people do extraordinary things. Mm-hmm. You know, you see in the development of Microsoft and Apple and that they all started with small groups.
Yep.
And many other, you know, startups and big companies. And this is what can happen on a consistent basis rather than one-off here and there occasionally. And I know you're working with people in Silicon Valley as well, James, and this is really what they're looking for all the time. You know, where are the innovators who can get together in teams and create the next big thing?
Absolutely. I've always seen it as kind of either the secret knowledge behind how to go about doing that, as opposed to, like you said, kind of getting it sporadically and getting the right synergy together with a group that almost seems to happen by luck sometimes, where this, I'm fascinated by it, especially because it's a more precise way to go about it.
Yep.
What you mentioned about homogenization, that's what I'm working with specifically with the group in Silicon Valley through a fellowship. And they take all the time to educate people as much as they can on self-knowledge and to know exactly who they are. Because when everyone's so homogenized and they're all the same, you can't put people together in a group and say, okay, well, bring your skills and your assets and what makes you unique to the group that's going to amplify the progress of the group if you don't necessarily have that unique understanding of who you are. So I love human design for that aspect of showing you who you are as opposed to who you think you are, as you say.
Yeah.
Or the societal constraints and pressures of who you think you should be more so.
Yeah.
And how easy that is to get lost in who you think you should be and who the world wants you to be and your friends and your relationships and all that. Just having this opportunity to really go inward and be introspective and say, all right, well, I hear that, but who am I really? And I think that people are desperately wanting that now. And so the opportunity to gain that knowledge of who you are, how you effectively make decisions, and to contribute that to a team of people who have that same knowledge is so powerful. And that's why I'm excited about going over this course and seeing what opportunities it has for that.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, see, when I go through the modules, I'm really going to focus on the benefits. It's not about human design. It's about giving innovators, people on the cutting edge, and entrepreneurs, people building things that are of value to themselves and to everybody and their customers and community. I want to bring the benefits of human design, but not keep human design. When you convert to this, you know, it's like, no.
That's a good point, because I think that's something I could learn from the course too, of how to communicate it more, because that's been the disconnect a lot, is that I go, how do I talk about human design without people thinking that it's weird? So learning more of, this is kind of the language of just embodying what you're learning and then talking about it just in practical terms.
Yeah,
and what the benefits are. Yeah,
exactly. Benefit. You know, Who cares what it's called? You know, I mean, you know, it's like, what is it going to do for you? What's it going to do for you as an innovator or you as a business person, particularly someone who's, you know, opening up new possibilities in business, in investment, in whatever it is that you're doing, or even just in your family and your community. or whatever work you do in the world that contributes. This is, and even in terms of taking care of yourself, which is so important. I mean, this is what we're getting to, is this is how to take care of yourself in a way that makes you more capable of contributing.
Yeah.
Right? Not one or the other. So let's have a look at these modules.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me screen share just a bit. So people, I don't want to keep it on screen share the whole time, but I want people to have a look at basically what's there. This is the program module descriptions. And I just want to point out that there are 28 modules. There's an introduction, and then there's 28 modules, and then there's how you can follow up if you want to take things further. Now, these 28 modules are split into actually 5 sections. The first is what this program offers you, which is the first introductory module. So it's like a first module where you just, hey, this is what the program offers you.
It's a good place to start.
Sorry,
good
Jake?
Place to start. Good place to start. You go, what's in this? Yeah. What's in this for me?
What's in it? Yeah, what's in it for you? Exactly.
Yeah.
Then we look at 7 modules about what makes you unique. You know, what is it about you that distinguishes you as an individual?
So this is like a crash course of human design overview.
Yeah, it's more a crash course in what makes you different, using human design to distinguish that. And when I go through the modules, it'll become clear, but it's a good point. Okay. And then we go into 8 modules about you are designed to make great decisions. You are. And it goes into how that works. And then another group about how this works in real life, which is crucial. You know, you've got to bring it into the real world.
And is each one of these numbers a different video?
Yes, we're going to go through them in a moment, but I just want people to see the overview, that there's an introduction about, you know, what's in it for you. Then you're an individual and you're designed to make great decisions. And that's all great, but how's this going to work in the real world?
Yeah.
And then we pull it together in creating fantastic teams. Okay, so that's the big picture of the modules. This is what it's about in the background. You know, what's in it for you? Hey, you're an individual. You're designed to make great decisions. But it's got to work in the real world. And if you're going to work in the real world, you're going to have to work with other people.
Yeah. So would you say it's almost exercise based, that you give almost homework after each module and say, go out and try this and see how it works for you?
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes we give exercises, but all of the time there's each module, and then there's a commentary on each module. So each module could be anything from, say, 20 to maybe maximum 50 minutes long. Most of them are around 30 or so. And that goes into a certain area that human design points out, and we go, this is what this means in terms of your real life. And then in the commentary, often it's me, but often I bring in other people as well. And we talk about how that works in real life. What does that mean? I mean, what's the implication of that for you as a person? And then we encourage people to take a few days to a week just to really get in touch with how that shows up in their business, in their real life, in their relationships, in everyday living, because there's no substitute for experience here. You know, I read something last night, and it just said the biggest difference between success in marketing or not are those who study everything about it, learn everything about it, but don't do anything. And those people who actually go out there and, put the sweat and tears into it, and learn through practical application.
That's so important, specifically with anything that's in this more esoteric realm that people can quickly write off and say, oh, that's not practical for me. So to do the practical commentary on it, because a lot of times, you want to be able to absorb and gain from, that kind of knowledge. But I think it's too often that people go, well, that sounds very nice. That sounds great. I love what you're saying. It seems like it's helping you, but that it's not practical. I don't have time for that. I think I hear that the most often. Like, I gotta go to work and I'm too busy. And I think that's a good point, because it's something that's not even like a hobby per se, or you do practice meditation or yoga on your off time, but instead it's things that while you're at work and while you're super busy and when you don't have time for anything, this is something that you can practice in a practical way that's going to make that more enjoyable and more efficient, and you're making decisions better. And you don't have to talk about it in kind of a weird way, because people are just they're going to see that that it's working. And that's been my experience with it. So, but I always need more of the framework to make it more conventional to speak about it to people. It's always a challenge.
Well, as you and I and some of the people we're working with are discovering, the people who relate to, how I'm presenting human design and where it's coming across, are people who've been in committed situations like the military, volunteer work. It's down-to-earth practical people who can get this. See, the only thing that's really esoteric in a woo-woo way about human design is some of the original language that was put into it. But when it comes down to it, if you're not applying it practically, it's just a head trip. It's a waste of your time. But when you do apply it, you begin to realize it's one of the most practical maps of how you operate as a physical human being, how you make decisions, and how life works in the real world of anything I've come across. Now, I'm 68 now, and I've been looking at this sort of stuff for 45 years, and I've never come across in that more alternative, or whatever you want to call it, scene, anything so practical, so utterly pragmatic and applicable, and that you can't really come to grips with unless you live it and learn through your own experience. In fact, the part of the course that's most crucial, or this program, is the part where you learn through your own experience. And we encourage people to do this over and over and over again. I work with a small group of people in a very focused program where I mentor them about their businesses, their lives, their, and working with human design and other skills that I have. And some of them say, how can anybody really learn this if they don't go, if they don't apply it in their real life? They can learn about it, but they can't learn it. So that's a really crucial point, a very, very crucial point. You've got to, and this is what we encourage. And when you do that, you discover how utterly pragmatic and useful in real life circumstances to people who don't even know what woo-woo might mean, or alternative. They can use it even more effectively.
Sometimes it's better not to know.
Ideas in the way. Right?
Yeah. Sometimes it's better not to know that part of it.
It is.
When people ask me to explain it, sometimes I don't have time. I don't have time to explain. I've got things to do.
Exactly.
I think it's better too, because when you start to, people are go, oh, I don't know about that. So.
So let's go through the modules so people have got an overview.
Great.
Okay. Now, the first introductory module in its own, it's what this program offers you. And it's titled, You Need to Know This. right? It's like, what do I need
Okay.
to know, right?
Yeah, bold statement.
Yeah.
That seems like everything on the internet goes, you need this, you need that, you need this, and oh boy, it's just an information overload. So,
Yeah. Well, the answer, luckily we've got a subtitle to each module. And you
yeah,
need to know this, and it's why human design is so powerful.
mhm.
Now, we've talked about it briefly, but if people don't see, this is about you being a far more effective innovator and an entrepreneur, someone who's able to create results and enjoy the process and create exceptional results.
Sounds
Right?
good.
But if you don't understand that we're bringing in this human design thing, if you don't understand why that's worth bringing in, then why should you go any further? Because human design has been in a bubble for 30 years, like someone growing up at home. But now human design is ready to leave home and go out into mainstream.
Yeah.
And to do that, it's got to break out of its bubble of being known just through a certain group of people. And it's so powerful, and it's now mature enough to get out there and talk to everyday people in the real world about what it truly has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the intro. And then we get into 7 modules.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah, sure.
Are there parts of the course that you go into that would help with explaining that part of the bubble? I mean, I think that there's a lot of things that fit in that bubble that are abstract, and they come more from what people say is like an Eastern tradition, and it sounds weird in people's ears when you talk about it here in the West. So are there any practical points about how you can start to bring this up in conversation with your friends if they start to ask about it? Because honestly, when I bring it up, it's the number one thing I get is people usually go, oh, is this some sort of cult?
That's exactly the way. I came in and I've been involved with many different systems and stuff in the past. I've even created some of them.
Yeah.
And the first thing I realized and shied away from is these things, when they're new, inevitably take on a sort of cultish, jargon-based sort of approach.
Right.
And sometimes early on, when you're a child and a teenager, that can be protective and supportive.
Mm-hmm.
But it isn't. Human design is not a cult. And we're going to go into that in the first module, which is how you are designed to make a difference, your human design chart. What is the human design chart? It's a map of how you are designed to make a difference. It's is Google Maps a cult? No, it's a very practical, useful.
It's just a tool.
It's a tool.
Yeah.
That's what human design is. It's a very accurate, very useful tool if you don't get trapped in the jargon and you don't get trapped in the initial sort of bubble that the early adopters create. Early adopters tend to do that anyway.
Yeah,
but
unfortunately.
What you've inspired me to do, James, is in the introductory module, I didn't do a commentary. But now I'm inspired to do a commentary about stepping out of the bubble.
Good. I mean, it's a very important thing because it can stand in the way from people wanting to hear about it versus turning it off. And I've maybe I can contribute some ways that I've worked around it with things that I've been involved with, but I've got some phrases that kind of help. I tend to use like the Kool-Aid analogy because people go, I don't want to drink that Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
And I say, Kool-Aid, kind of like Google Maps, you're saying, it's like Kool-Aid is good. It tastes good. I like it. It's a lot of sugar in it, but I like it. But my question, I want to know if somebody's giving me any Kool-Aid, I go, is there any poison in this Kool-Aid? Because if there is, I don't want it. So it's using discretion and discernment to know if it's something that's good for you or not. And yeah, I think having just a discussion about that beforehand of for skeptical people especially, because I think some of the most brilliant intellectual people who are the best innovators and entrepreneurs out there can kind of fall victim to being really skeptical. I can as well. So
yeah. Look, find out there are a lot of successful people who can benefit immensely from human design. It's not there to rescue the strugglers. By the way, it will really help people who are struggling to really get clear on their unique path to deal with the situation they're in.
Yeah.
But you can be a billionaire. You can be a top flight investor. You know, we have people we're working with who are literally on the cutting edge of investment globally.
Mm-hmm.
And they're fascinated by it in terms of fine-tuning the way in which people work together. And how do you approach each investor? How do you deal with them? How do you present it? How do you create teams? That's, you know, when you're putting together a bank, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's, or you're putting together a business, and you're knowing how to deal with the people who are investing in your business and how, you know, how to work with them. They're fascinated by that. I remember even watching Mark Cuban being interviewed on TV, and he's someone you'd consider to be incredibly successful. And he mentioned that he and his wife are having some trouble with their daughter as she's growing up and she's a teenager and stuff. And I just looked at it and went, I could help you with that. Right? And what I'm saying is all of us have areas that we're working on, no matter how successful we are. In fact, the more successful you are, the more you want to develop.
Yeah.
Right? And the more you're open to new approaches to developing more effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So this is for right across the board. You know, it's helping me with my partner. She doesn't understand English very well, and I'm not explaining human design to her, but my knowledge of that and my knowledge of her chart and my own is facilitating us being able to work together very, very effectively. And what I'm discovering is a lot of very down-to-earth people like she is, who come from a very earth-based background, you know, who are very connected to nature and the land and all of that. They get human design. You don't have to explain it to them. You just have to live it yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
So each one of us is designed to make a difference. And that's the first module.
Mm-hmm.
And we're unique. But how are we designed to make a difference? Second module. There are core energies you deal with in your physical life. And there's 9 of them. In the past, for thousands of years, we worked with 7. You know, there's old esoteric stuff talking about that. But we've got more core energies to deal with now than human beings have had till this point in history. There's more we've got, more options, more resources, but more to deal with.
Yeah, we're evolving.
Yeah, we're evolving. So there are core energies we need to deal with in your physical life, and we outline them in Module 2. Module 3, we look at the steps in any business or life cycle. And that's related to 64 numbers coming from a Chinese tradition.
Mm-hmm.
But there are steps, the Chinese have researched this right down, you know, practical life, you know, these are the steps. This is the cycles, the steps that you take in business or any life cycle.
Yeah.
And then the 4th module is what you bring to the table. Now, right, what makes you different is you've got 9 energies you're dealing with, and there's a certain timing to any business or life cycle.
Yeah.
Right? And you're dealing with the 2 most important things that great decisions will give to you. If you make a great decision, you know the energy's right and the timing's right.
Very important. So,
Right? And
one of
they're
the biggest rules in business.
exactly. And those two modules are addressing energy and timing. That's how practical it is, you know. It's like, oh, this isn't just this esoteric, old-fashioned stuff. No.
Yeah.
Energy and timing, the essence of great decision.
I think energy gets a bad rap sometimes because people go, oh, I can feel the energy, and it gets very out there. So how does human design really explain like knowing the right energy for decision making in a practical way?
Well,
That
do the
makes sense.
course, do the program, and it'll explain it.
But okay, but putting
But
it,
seriously, these are energies you deal with in your physical life, not energies floating. This is like, you know, your physical energy,
yeah,
your mental, your unique way of thinking, your
sure,
sense of identity, the way you love,
yeah.
you know, your will, your emotions, your instincts. That's what I mean.
Definitely, yeah. Like I say, it gets a bad rap because people don't think about the actual energy that they have internally. It's like just your metabolism and your thoughts have electrical impulses and things like that. So
Yeah. Look, when you think, it changes your energy. If you think negative thoughts, it's going to depress your energy. If you think positive, I mean, I'm just using the simplest possible examples. You know, if
right,
you're feeling emotionally relaxed, you can play a sport at a higher level than when you're emotionally nervous,
hmm,
or you can take the nervousness and harness it.
yeah,
That's what we're
yeah.
talking about. Okay.
That's crucial.
Yeah. So module 4 is what you bring to the table. And that in human design is called the gates. And we'll go into that when you do the module. But the module 4 is about what you bring to the table of life. You go to a business meeting, what are the gifts and skills and talents you bring to the table?
Hmm.
And then module 5 is where you are coming from. I mean, this is practical. That's called the lines in human design, but we don't want to get caught up in that. We want to know what are the lines, what's the benefit of knowing about the lines? It'll tell you where you are coming from as a person.
Hmm.
And that's crucial to know where your business partner is coming from versus where you're coming from. I experience this every day with my business partner who we often contact. We're in contact at least once a day and live very close to each other. So
Hmm.
it's important to know where he's coming from, where I'm coming from, and how they work together and how they clash.
Yeah.
And then it's going, okay, I've got these physical energies and there's this certain timing, but what is unique about me? Well, I bring certain things to the table and I come from a certain place. And the 6th module is your power to contribute.
Okay.
Okay, that's what makes you unique. You've got a unique power to contribute called the channels.
Yeah.
And then there's what you know and what you don't know about yourself. There's
That's
two
important.
parts. There's a part of you that mentally you usually know about. It's fairly obvious, but there's a whole other chunk of your
Hmm.
makeup that's very much connected to the design and the structure of your body that tends to sit in the background and you're not aware of unless you pay attention to it or unless you work, you know, in sport or physical endeavors that require really fine tuning your body. But to
Yeah.
know those two parts of you and how they work together, that's important. And that's what makes you unique. What you bring to the table, where you're coming from, your ability to contribute, and the fact that there are things about you you know, but there's also more that you don't know. And when you bring that to consciousness and you're able to work with it, it makes you far more effective at being a unique individual and therefore far more effective as an innovator and entrepreneur.
That's the red and black lines.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
are the, it's a little off topic, but what are the like the checkered red and black?
They're
Is that
both.
like you kind of know, and
They're
sometimes you
both.
like forget?
Yeah, both. To those of you who are listening, James is getting really excited about details of the chart that many of you
like,
might not know about. But it just
yeah.
means it's got black and red in it.
Okay.
Actually,
Yeah, guys, just an overview. So
yeah.
but great. I like the sequencing of it, of
Yeah,
starting from you and your
let's give people a quick look at, some of them may not have, that's a human design chart.
Yeah. Red
And the
black.
checkered stuff is what James is talking about. Some lines are red, some lines are black, and then some are red and black. But that's what it looks like. And I'm not going to go into explaining it, but in a sense, during that section of the program, we actually disassemble this, just like taking a car apart, and then put it all together again. So that rather than staring at that and going, what the hell is this? You know all the components and how they're put together so you can operate it. You can work with it. You don't have to study it, and become an expert in it, but you need to know enough, just like your car, that if all of a sudden the car stops, you go, oh, I forgot to put fuel in the tank.
Right? Yeah, or I really like the Ferrari analogy that you use as far as the complexities.
Yeah.
Like it looks very complex, but we already know that. We already know that our physiology and our minds and how it's all interconnected, that's a very complex thing. But just waking up in the morning and living your life, I mean, arguably it's challenging, but it's relatively simple. You don't have to think about all the nuts and bolts and the details and things like that. So, but people still want to know about that. I just you could probably make a module for millennials as well that would speak to them, because the things you've said, it's like we want to know what our passions are and how we're unique and how we contribute that, and everyone wants to make an impact on the world. I think that's a big millennial shared theme. It's like we want to change the world and we want to make an impact, but we don't really know how to do that because we don't have the experience for it.
Hey, whoa, that's exactly what that first section. See, in pulling it apart and putting it back together, I mean, look at the words we were using. It's like, let me see. The core energies you have to deal with. Hey, that's going to be where you turned on, right? And
what you're passionate about,
yeah. And timing. People in business are always saying timing is everything. What the hell? Where does that come from?
And it is kind of a vague thing, like timing for what?
Yeah.
I guess it depends.
Okay, good. Now, millennials want to know what you bring to the table, right? Where are you coming from? Where is your power to contribute? These things are addressing exactly what you know and what you don't know about yourself. This is like exactly addressing what we're doing.
Yeah, this would be. I'm in grad school right now, so that would be helpful for me. Of that age-old problem of I'm just being loaded with information and being told what to know and what to think, and as opposed to like, well, how do I think? How do I go about learning this in the first place and making it practical?
Yeah. And once you understand this, you'll be able to nail all that stuff down. Now, you've got you can do that yourself, or you can do it with help. There's various other things I do where I work with people, either in, a consultation environment or over a period of time. Mm-hmm. But the first segment, as an innovator and entrepreneur, first thing you want to know is, what the hell am I even dealing with here? What the hell is that chart? Well, that's what we pull apart, put it back together again, but in the context of what's the benefit to you? Well, I get to learn how I contribute, what I bring to the table, where my gifts and talents are. And then we move into the second group of 8 modules, where we look at, you are designed to make great decisions. I am? Really? Because sometimes people go, decisions are often hit and miss, or else if I'm very successful, I have to work and work and work and work at it.
Mm-hmm.
And decisions weren't meant to be that difficult. In fact, decision making should be elegant. I was going to say easy, but it's elegant. Something that you're a human being, you're alive in a physical body in the physical world.
Yeah.
Deciding when something is right, when the energy and the timing's right to do something should be second nature. And guess what? It is second nature. It's built into you. And
Mm-hmm.
we've been doing it with our minds, right? And for thousands of years, and that's created a lot of progress, but with a lot of collateral damage.
Yeah.
Now we need to make decisions more effectively, free our minds up for innovation and being imaginative and creative, and allow our body and the wisdom within us to make decisions that are fully in tune with what's going on in the practical world.
Mm-hmm.
And that should be something that's elegant, but it's a skill we're learning to do now, which is a benefit because we're using the part of us that's most in touch with the material world to make decisions about the material world. And we're liberating our minds from the burden of having to try and figure it out, which means this is going to save you tons of stress, tons of energy, and be far more efficient. And once you know how you're designed to make great decisions and you practice, you get used to it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not something you get intellectually and then impose on yourself. It's something that you get back in touch with that's already there and develop it like muscles through training and practice.
Yeah.
And your mind can let go of having to be on top of everything and go and do what it's truly designed to do.
Very well said. I think my question to that is, it has been for a while, where, okay, great, I've learned these parts about myself and how I best make decisions. But how, this could be off topic again, but how important is it for the people that I interact with to also have some sense of who they are and how they make decisions? Because sometimes I feel like it's
crucial.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's met with some resistance. Like, if I get into the flow of what I'm doing, but then I'm working with other people who aren't quite on that same page, then it's almost like, well, what's the point? Because other people don't understand where I'm coming from. Like you said, they don't know where I'm coming from because they don't really know where they're coming from. And it's of maybe,
look,
like,
what you're addressing, James, is a fear all of us have, and it's very mental.
Yeah.
Right? It's the mind being scared of giving up the way we've been doing things for thousands of years. It doesn't understand yet that this is one of the best things that could ever happen to it. We're not getting rid of the mind, we're liberating it from the slavery of having to, figure everything out and fit in with everybody else.
Yeah.
And freeing it up to be far more creative and imaginative than it's ever been before. The thing is, you can do this for yourself. And my personal experience is, as that developed in me, as I discovered that ability, it's not like this is something you've got to put on top of who you are. This is who you are, being liberated. It's not like something, I've got to learn this new skill of doing decisions. Yes, but the decision-making process is already part of who you are. It's there. You just have to free it up so it can do its job.
Yep. I say more of what's already there.
Yeah, you're just getting in touch with what you've already got.
Yeah.
And when you do that, if you're in situations where you don't fit, then it moves you to situations where you do.
Mm.
And if you do it correctly, you don't have to explain yourself to other people. You just start operating differently. And yes, some people might pick it up and put some pressure on you. But I've never found that to be like, unless you're a part of a cult or something massively politically correct, or a dictatorship or something, it's still the way it works. You don't have to explain yourself or impose yourself on the world around you.
I've learned not to do that.
Yeah, well, we do that because we think we have to. What you discover is making decisions this way makes you more relatable, makes you more effective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't mean that is you fit in with everybody else. You might find you don't fit in with certain people, but it moves you away from them because you're not suited to each other. And it gets you more involved with the people and the situations, the work, the places to live that are truly correct for you, where you really fit. So that fear is something, after 9 years of working with human design, I've discovered is actually nowhere near as much a problem as you might think. And that's why the experience of human design is so, the experience you develop over time with practice and with, just with working out. Mm-hmm. It's so liberating. And why initially there's a tendency to form a cult, sort of to protect yourself against the world, because you think you're different than other people. No, you're not. You're dealing with human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, yes, but there's no strict pace that you have to go at. You move at the pace that you're comfortable. And the beautiful thing is all your mistakes are just as much a part of the program as your successes. Rather than being, oh my God, I've got it wrong. Oh, now I've got it right. It's like, oh, that didn't work. That did work. Great. I learned something from this and I'm getting something from that. It's just like, bring it on. Life all of a sudden becomes far less threatening.
Yeah, you start to see it as more of a game.
Your ability to relate successfully to other people increases dramatically. I was such a loner 9 years ago. Now I've got a partner, several kids, and a family of 15 people, plus friends. It's just businesses. It's like, that's what it did for me.
Yeah.
It brought me into society rather than wandering around on the outside.
That's an important point too. I think sometimes people think they might have to become a hermit or a recluse, to be able to live like that.
Not my experience.
That's what I love about it. It's a practical tool and teaching that can get you out into the world and connect with people, especially. So I think that's what entices me the most. It's like,
great.
People want to connect more and more.
Let's just move this along so we're not here for the next 3 hours. I mean, it's great conversation, but okay, how you are designed to make great decisions, 8 modules. Number 8, what turns you on? That's the
that could be misunderstood.
Yes.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, well, it's no problem with being a little controversial and go, whoa, what's this about?
Or is that what it's about?
Yeah, it's what part of you is switched on to do things. Which part of you is designed to do stuff? It's called your definition. And also where you have consistent energy. Mm-hmm. There's parts of you where you have energy that is defined, it's fixed, and it's consistent. You can always rely upon it. And that's those two are about what you're designed to do. Okay? And you're consistently good at doing that. Now, module 10 is where the world influences you, i.e. where you can be convinced to be other than who you are or get conditioned by the world around you, but also it's where you can receive. We're designed not only to do things, but to receive support, receive inspiration, receive help.
Mm-hmm.
And that's called the undefined centers. But where the world influences you, that you need to be aware of that, where you can be sort of pressured or convinced by other people to act in ways that aren't in your best interests. But also that same place is where you can receive support. Okay. And the 11th module is what you struggle to be, or who you struggle to be, but it never really works. This is the part of you that you think you should be, but it's not you.
Yeah, I wish I could have taken the course when I was in my 20s.
Hey,
because there's that idea of like, I'm always striving to be something that I want to be and maybe isn't the best for me, you know?
Yeah, look, we're all pressured into being someone who we're not. And maybe it's, you know, someone doing it malevolently, or maybe it's just the pressure of life around you and everything in between. But I'm working with my kids on it. You know, and I'm not lecturing them about it. I'm just aware of it. You know, because every one of us struggles to be somebody that we're not. And how do you know? Because that part of us never really works. And then module 12 is who you are and it works. This is the part of you that's designed to do certain things. This is who you are consistently. Right? There's a part of you that's here to receive, and what it receives changes with time, place, and situation. But there's a part of you that's here to do things, and it's consistent, and it's exactly what you as an individual are designed to do, how you operate at your best when you're doing things, and that is what we call your true self. And the part of you that's designed to receive, don't try and do. Learn how to receive. And then when you put the two together, you get someone who's got gifts of doing things and gifts for receiving support and help and inspiration and whatever. And that's a human being. Now, that's how you're designed to make great decisions, but how do you make great decisions? And that's the next 3 modules. You've got to identify clearly what you're designed to do. There's a certain function that each person has, and that's called your type. But that there is things you're designed to do. And then the next, and I think the most crucial part, is how to know when you have a decision to make. It's not a matter of just making decisions randomly. You've got to know when you actually have a decision to make. Otherwise, it's just all guesswork. And often we're pressured to make decisions by people or circumstances, or we think we should make a decision when there's no decision to make. And we rush around making inappropriate decisions. And therefore, we take inappropriate actions, which causes problems. Right? We get the timing wrong. We get the energy wrong. And in human design, that's called strategy. How you know when you have a decision to make. That's the most important preparation for making a decision, is to know I've got a decision to make now. This is real. This is a decision I have to make.
Yeah, for some reason I'm forgetting now as far as difference between strategy and authority. So with
the next module is right up your alley, because that's how you make decisions that work. So there's two things. You've got this strategy is, oh, that tells you when you actually have a decision to make. And inner authority is how you make the decision.
Yeah.
So this whole section is about you are designed to make great decisions. And it goes through. There's parts of you that are switched on and they're consistent. There are parts of you that are open. The switched on bits you use to do, the open parts you use to receive. Okay, that's how I get energy. That's what I do with energy, right? I can receive energy, but I have to be discriminating about what I let in.
Yeah.
And I'm designed to do certain things with the resources I have, the money I have, the energy I have, the physical energy I've got. Well, how do I decide then? Well, you've got to understand what you're designed to do, and then when you have a decision to make, and then how to make that decision. And that is different. Those three is unique for every single person.
Would you be able to give
that down?
Yeah. Would you be able to give me a sneak preview of what that would look like for me specifically, with, given my chart, what would be a scenario of what that would look like, and then how I would most effectively make that decision?
Okay, good question.
Thanks.
Let's do it. There's James's chart. Now, some of you won't have a clue what that is, but he has a particular function, and that is to manage and guide other people. James exists to help others. That's his function. Doesn't mean he has to sacrifice himself. It's just his function is really guiding and managing other people, not doing the work guiding and managing. So that's his type. That's called a projector, but you'll learn that in time as we go through the course.
Yeah.
His strategy as a projector, projectors do not have a decision to make until someone recognizes they've got this gift and invites them to do something. Right? Which means his strategy, his way of knowing when he has a decision to make is to wait, not just wait and sit twiddling his thumbs, but wait for invitations, and during that waiting time, really enjoy his life. Your life is not totally obsessed with making decisions, right? There's also enjoying it and having fun, but in the midst of your life, in the midst of your business, in the midst of innovating, you need to know, when do I have a decision to make? Well, James knows in the midst of his life, when he was invited to do this fellowship in Silicon Valley, he had a decision to make, right?
Yep.
Right? And he could go yes, no, or come up with another option. And then part of his design is he's very designed on an emotional level. Now, I'll stop the chart.
I'm an emotional guy.
Yeah, you're an emotional guy. You've got a very specific way of working with emotions. And when a person has that, they don't make quick decisions.
Yeah. Or I should add, understanding of emotions, not necessarily an emotional person. I think that's two different things.
Yes, you have a very specific way of functioning emotionally. There's an emotional pattern that you have that's highly defined, and it's consistent, and it can be relied upon by you and other people. Okay, I don't. Mine's wide open.
Yeah.
Right? So James never rushes decisions. I'm different. I always make them on the spot. If James makes them on the spot, he's likely to get it wrong. If I
Yes.
take my time, I'm likely to just overcomplicate the whole issue and miss the opportunity. Basically, I'll get the timing wrong.
Yeah.
But James needs to take his time and allow a thing called emotional clarity to emerge. Now, that's not mental clarity. It's a whole discussion in itself, which we won't do now. But simply put, James is here to guide people. And based on that, he waits for them to get ready. He doesn't jump in and offer them guidance before they're ready. How does he know they're ready? They tell him by inviting him, recognizing he's got something to offer and inviting him, which means he's often patient because he can see they need it, but they haven't got it yet. And what does he do while he's waiting? Enjoy his life, because he doesn't have to run around grabbing their attention. In fact, it's better when he doesn't. And then when they invite him, he still gets to decide whether it's right for him to do it and whether they're ready. And he takes his time until he reaches emotional clarity, no second guessing, and then he goes. Then he knows yes or no. So, Silicon Valley comes to James, invites him, and he says, "Thank you very much. I'll get back to you."
That in itself can be very effective and powerful, because when people give you an opportunity that you shouldn't turn down and you go, well, let me think about that. That's powerful in my experience.
Hey, James, you got the fellowship.
Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. Now, if I do that, it won't work because I'm not designed to do it that way. It's not the most effective use of my energy. I'm one of these people who decides on the spot.
Yeah.
But James isn't. And that's where we can be very different. I take my time, I overcomplicate it and miss the opportunity. James takes his time and everyone's interested in him. I mean, that's how practical it can get.
Yeah.
Okay? Useful?
Yep.
Okay, so fine, we've figured out now that you're a unique person and you've got your own unique way of making decisions, but how does that work in real life? Well, Module 16, how to tell when you're off track. Really important in real life to know when you're going off track.
Absolutely.
Right? Aeroplanes have autopilots for this reason. Brings them back. Module 17 is how to tell when you're on track. It's called your not self theme and your true self theme. In other words, what are the practical signals that you're drifting off, that you're losing it? And it's very practical. This is one of the best things, you don't even have to understand human design intellectually. If you know this, you can tell when you're going off track and when you're on track. And you can get really experienced and developed in just staying on track and correcting very quickly.
I think a lot of people would refer to that as being in a flow state, or like a peak experience or peak performance. I know that's in Silicon Valley especially is a big thing, and there's people trying all kinds of stuff with microdosing LSD and all kinds of ways to kind of get back on track and in their flow state,
Yep. Oh no, this you don't need any of that other stuff. You get good.
I prefer natural methods.
Yeah, this is built into you.
I can't get more natural than that.
There's a whole sense within you, a feeling, an emotion within you that tells you I'm going off track and I'm going on track. And you need to know both and get really experienced, because if you know the thing that's telling you you're off track and pick it up quickly, your body self-corrects. And when you're on track, you discover that you operate in the world in a totally different way, but it's incredibly practical. It's sort of like all the natural benefits of being in an altered or a higher state in a very easy to work with, clear, very natural, organic even state. It's like you just being you is it's so normal and simple, and yet it's got all the qualities of truly enjoying your life to the max without trying to max it.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe, but when you experience it, I call it the primary motivator for doing, or for at least learning about how you operate from human design, right? Because what it's going to give you is a life that you truly enjoy and where you can be exceptional at what you're designed to do and exceptional in your ability to receive. And when you're in that state, it's not like, I'm in an altered state, you know, whoa, it's incredible, I'm aware of everything, but I can't relate to people. It's like, I'm very conscious, I'm very aware, I'm clear, and I can relate to everything. It's like me and life are separate but one at the same time. And it's a beautiful feeling. It's so satisfying in my case. And for someone like you, James, you feel that success is who you are. It's not a state you have to get to. It's the core of who you are. So this is a very profound section about how to live from your design or from who you are and how you're designed to be in real life. Then we look at your predictable tendencies, very useful in business, knowing your own, knowing other people's, right? What their predictable tendencies are and how we're different. You know, it can really show the different characters we have and that that's okay to be a different sort of character than somebody else. And then we go into your purpose and area of expertise. Module 19. Every one of us has, you might say, a purpose, something we're here to stand for, and an area that we're experts in. Right? And knowing that, particularly from your 40s onwards, but knowing that's coming, knowing that that's there, even when you're a millennial or in your 20s or teens even, knowing that you have there is a purpose and an area that you're an expert as, you can grow into that with real aplomb and sophistication and elegance, so that you know, mine is consciousness, believe it or not, but I'm not there doing raves on consciousness. You know, I'm talking about how to be conscious about who you are in the practical world so you get better results and you enjoy it and you contribute more. But to do that, you need to be conscious of what you've got to work with, who you are, where you can receive support, what you're here to do, and how to make great decisions. So, you know, each one of us brings something to the table that it's our area of, we know how that place works. Right? Then we start moving in towards teams now. And we talk about
the last module, right?
Sorry?
This is the last section, right?
No, this is the last 3 modules in the second last section. Because the shift, how this works in real life, there's the first 4 modules we just discussed. And then there's 3 that's really like real world stuff. The power of collective individuality, right? In creating a world that works is module 20. But we're all individuals But when individuals who know they're individuals are able to collectively work together, that's what creates a world that works.
Yeah.
King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. I mean, apart from the movies and stuff, when you go back to the original legend, that's the guys getting together and creating a world that works, empowered and supported and guided by the women.
It's very important to listen to women.
Hell yeah. And I mean that when women know truly what it is to be a woman. There's so many women who really don't comprehend how powerful it is and how much power and wisdom they have just being women, not competing with men.
Yeah.
That's a whole other subject, which
right.
This course isn't about. But, you know, women, we need them. And we need them to truly be women who are in touch with their power. Because
more than ever.
Men are strong, women are truly powerful. They give us the ability to act. They give us the guidance we need and the empowerment, and they are so creative in their nature.
Yeah.
We need to support that creativity. We need to receive their power, and they need to be willing to give it.
So important.
Right? So this is collective individuality, even between, we just went into genders. But when we are able to work together as unique individuals simultaneously, that's when we're able to create a world that works.
Yeah.
And then the next module is how to walk your talk. What this means in terms of decision making in real life. When you're in a family, in a business, when you're innovating, when you're dealing with a large group of people, when you're dealing with investors, when you're looking at how to spend your money, make the money in the first place, what product you're able to bring to the world that has your unique stamp and brand upon it. It's how to walk your talk, how to turn up as who you really are. And that's what decision making in real life takes you to. It takes you to who you are and where you belong. And you can be a unique individual because where you belong, you're surrounded by the people you belong with. And all of a sudden, a whole ton of problems that people have fall apart. And even if you're with people you don't belong with, which sometimes you feel about family members or, whatever, you can still resculpture, redesign your life so that it works for you and them.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't have to do that in a rush. You don't have to convert them to anything. You just, in the right timing, with the right energy, you rearrange your life so it works. Right? And that's decision making in real life, running a business, contributing to a community, doing charity in Africa or Asia or something like that, where you're helping people elevate their circumstances, bringing water to a village, taking a family from struggling to having a good life. Something I'm doing just because of what I'm involved with.
Yeah.
This is real life, and this is the sort of stuff that you deal with in the military every day, James, and your volunteer work as well. You've worked with Team Rubicon. That's real life.
Yeah.
Right? Decision making. And the last one in that section is the importance of correct timing.
Yeah.
There's an old saying that timing is everything. And then this is more than the cherry on the top. This is what it's all leading to, is the 6 modules, the section on creating fantastic teams.
I think that's essential because getting involved in the entrepreneurship world myself, as great as it is that we're kind of moving away from the traditional way of doing things, I've always found entrepreneurship to be a little bit egocentric in nature. So to be on a team of other entrepreneurs, I think, is where the most power comes from, and being, like you said, part of the tribe that you're supposed to be with. And I think that just the theme of getting back into a tribe these days is talked about quite a bit.
Yeah. Look, the future of humanity is creating fantastic teams. We're realizing we can create so much more together with the people that are correct for us than we can ever do on our own. No matter how much of a genius Steve Jobs was, or Bill Gates, or any number of other people we could go into in sport or anywhere else, they couldn't do it on their own. You know, collective individuality is entrepreneurs, skilled entrepreneurs working together.
Yeah.
And you need that. That's what happens, you know. It doesn't matter even if you're the great mentor and guru, even to get past just talking to the few people you know, you've got to have people helping you.
Yep.
Supporting you, working with you, doing the things you're not designed to do. It's just life. And literally, it's going to be the next evolution in the human species, frankly, is the ability for us to work together in small teams.
Yeah.
And large teams, not just, you know, hierarchically. There'll be structure for sure, but not like somebody dominating at the top. It's going to be everyone knowing their role and who they are and contributing. And there may be someone like King Arthur, after all the knights have put in their perspective, he might be the one charged with, okay, this is where we're going to go with it. And everyone agrees, okay, he has the final say. But we all feel like we contributed. We know we contributed. It's demanded of us that we contribute.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going. So we start with a module on living and working together. And this is about developing teams, families, and businesses where every member realizes their potential. If someone is not realizing their potential, I don't care whether they're handicapped or whatever, in a family, you know, my family's close relatives have a girl who people would consider to be either handicapped or Asperger's or autistic in some way. I love her to death. And one of my goals, I mean, I just am overwhelmed by love whenever I see her.
Yeah.
And she just feels that and is drawn to it. And one of my great goals is to help her realize whatever her potential is so she can truly enjoy a life in her own unique way.
Yeah.
And the people, my relatives, have this sort of love for her, you know, that's very just Thai acceptance of who they are. And she's thriving in that. And I just want to help her go further, because when every member realizes their potential, that's when you go from being a group of people in business together to a fantastic team. That's when it happens. When everyone's realizing their potential and working together as though they're one.
Yeah.
Right? It's that same thing in the military. Leave no one behind.
Yep.
That's the core, you know. No one gets left behind. Everyone is important. And everyone focuses when someone's in trouble on that person who needs the help. Because that's what makes, I mean, you can speak more frankly about this than I can, James, because you've spent significant time in the military. True or not true?
True. I 6 years active duty, and that's definitely true about contributing to the team and not leaving anyone behind. And I think that comes from the spirit that's instilled from the level of training specifically. that shows everybody what their full potential really is. And you realize you can do way more than you ever thought was possible. And I really love it's called the 40% rule with the Navy SEALs. They say, whenever you think you're done or you can't go on, you've only gone about 40%. And you can just keep going more. And so yeah, people realizing what their potential is and then bringing that and contributing it to a team.
Yeah,
that's what I want to be around.
Yeah, and this isn't the beauty with the way human design approaches. It removes so much of the stress and struggle.
Oh yeah.
So that it's not only people who can work themselves to the bone. In fact, often it isn't. It's been able to harness the energy of the team and recognize that as a living, vibrant energy that when you give to, it gives so much back to you. Mm-hmm. Right? And to do it in a way that you're designed to do it, so it's elegant. It's not like struggling to be someone you're not, but it's realizing the potential of who you really are and bringing that to the table for the team.
Yeah.
So in module 24, we go 3 to 5 people working together as a unique entity, right? That's a family or a small team or a small startup business. Or a small business. Now that's got a particular name in human design called a penta, but it's 3 to 5 people working together as a unique entity. And that, wow, we've hardly scratched the surface of the potential there. And in this module, we go right into the whole mechanics of it. It's like really pulling apart how a car works and then putting it back together so you can get the full potential out of it rather than just stumble across that randomly, which is what we've done in the past with rock bands or, incredible startups that have become billion-dollar companies, or just families, or extended communities where you know who to put together with who to get real progress out of. And those small groups or small teams, probably a better way of putting it, module 25, they're designed to make a unique contribution to humanity. That's what a small group is about. That's the real potential of a small group. Small groups are like a seed. When they really take off, they start something that can make a unique contribution to humanity. Look at Apple. Look at, Microsoft. Look at the people who started Google, 3 biggest companies, or some of the biggest companies in the world now, making a unique contribution to humanity. They started with a small team. Now, rather than that being random and occasional, one-off, knowing this information and how to put it together in real life can make that something that consistently can be developed so that level of contribution to humanity can happen all over the place.
Yeah.
Not randomly. Not all the time, not perfectly, but consistently. And the times that don't work, they're just tuning you into how to make it work better. Yeah. Then module 26, it's 9 to 16 people working as a unique entity. Now, this is when you start getting a team and a business. And you can go beyond 16, but it's made up of components of 9 to 16. And the 9 to 16 is made up of components of 3 to 5. Now, the beautiful thing about the small groups is they make decisions on the spot. Doesn't matter who's in it, the team makes quick decisions because you've got to grab the opportunity when the opportunity's there. That's key to startup, getting the timing right.
Yeah.
But a larger team, a team or a business, has to take their time and do due diligence. And it has a totally different structure. But when you're working with that structure, that's how you create a powerful team with real potential, like a sports team or a business,
Yeah.
or a community, or a rescue team. When you've got more than 9 people, they can come together, land in Puerto Rico and really make a difference. Or have a startup, but then put together the team that's going to convert that startup into a real ongoing business.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where you can make serious money in a small team. People do. People become billionaires out of that. But you handle the serious money and you make the serious money when you're dealing with a larger team and a business, what they call WAR in human design. And that enables you to very consciously and deliberately, structurally create a powerful team with all the components in the structure for that powerful team to realize its potential. That's what we're doing in that module, 26 and 27. And then the final module is how conscious teams change your business and your world. And that's a discussion with real world examples.
Mm-hmm. And
then we're finally, now that's a potent course.
Yeah.
Starting with what are the benefits of human design? Then, okay, what are the benefits to me? Okay, how do I make decisions? How does this, what are the benefits to me as a unique person? How do I make decisions? How does this work in real life? And then how do I put together teams that can really make a difference in my life, in my business, and in the world?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a final module, which is, hey, if you want to keep going with this, develop this further, how you can follow up. And that introduces people to a very unique mentoring program I do called Master Design. There's another program beyond this, but we're developing greater options. Like we're putting together an innovator and entrepreneurs club for people who've done this, who've got an idea. But we're also working with bankers and people developing major startups. And it means people can come together, if that's an option they want to take on board with this course, and work with these people to develop their business or to look for investment opportunities beyond the ones they already have.
Yeah, so it would be almost like a talent pool of people who have gone through this course and want to work with like-minded people. Exactly. And then you maybe can do your own startup from the alumni, so to speak.
Or get to work with other people who can help you with your startup, with your business, or where the hell do I get the money? One of the things we've really learned is one of the sticking points, but also the breakthrough point, is getting the resources.
Yeah.
If you don't have the money, you don't have the resources. See, there are 2 resources that are crucial: financial and human. And this is a program that's ultimately designed to get you to the place where you can get the financial resources. But even beyond that, this is a program that's all about developing human resources.
Yeah.
Because that's the greatest untapped resource that we have in this world. We're developing our gold resources. We're developing our ability to work with financial resources. But the one thing that we haven't tapped, we're just scratching the surface with, and we're ready to tap now, is our human resources. And if we can finance that and give them the energy, whether it's the food, the water, on the most practical level, but also the education and the understanding of the value of their culture and how we can work together even though we're so different, and what are the resources each unique individual brings to the table. No matter what their state, if they're alive, they're a massive resource that we can all benefit from if we can just support them in realizing their potential and then sharing it. And this is what this program's aiming for. This is the contribution I want to make through this program. And yeah, tell me your perspective on this, James.
Getting a little dark in here. I'm going to turn the light on.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess I wonder what would be available to me after I go through all the modules and go through the course, and what kind of support what would that look like? You know, like, is it on the website, or what would be my next step basically after the course? Or if I say I would like to be an entrepreneur, I don't necessarily have a business idea of my own, but I'd like to join other people.
Yep. Look, we're working with people who, look, the bottom line, my business partner Daryl and I were talking about this yesterday. The bottom line for this program to be of interest to you is not, are you interested in human design? That's not it.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is, do you aspire at least to be an entrepreneur or an innovator? If you don't aspire to that, then this isn't for you.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you just want to learn about human design, there are other courses out there. There are things where you can study it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that's fine. Go do those. But if you aspire to be an innovator and an entrepreneur, or you are an innovator and an entrepreneur, or you're a very successful innovator and entrepreneur, or you're someone who wants to invest what you've already done into this world as being an innovator and an entrepreneur, you want to invest that. You can be, look, if it's investment, we've got a bottom line. If it's business, we've got a bottom line. For this course, there's a bottom line. You need to aspire to be an innovator and an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is, you don't want to just find out what human design can do for you. You want to apply it in the real world.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for, is that I've taken those human design courses and you study it to a point where you go, all right, well, I'd like to do something with this.
Oh, that's what we're about.
I just searched for entrepreneurship and human design, and it seems like there's not much else out there, kind of what you're offering, to put it into a practical framework like that, and especially with the action steps afterwards to get involved with like-minded people. That's what I'm looking for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Now, that's why we're putting together the Innovators and Entrepreneurs, whatever you want to call it. I'll just call it a club.
Like a network, working network.
Yeah, we want people to get together, someone who's going, look, I aspire to this, but where do I start? And then, hey, I'm already an innovator and really successful, but I'm looking for resources like money, for instance. Do you know people who, you know, I can go to for investment? Or, I mean, there can be any number of levels as to, hey, I'm an investment banker, but I want to be with some innovative investment bankers. Well, we're working with someone like that, someone who's really on the cutting edge of investment banking. We've, you know, Daryl, who's one of the presenters for this course, is doing a major global startup at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, there's all sorts of opportunities there. The first thing is this. Look, if you want some more personal work, you can work with me in Master Design, which is a program I run, if there are positions available, or you can do consultations. And we can develop this further. There's also a second program that's not so much operating for innovators and entrepreneurs, but it's about really developing the fine-tuning of the unique gifts you bring to the table. So that's an option. And that will mainly be working with me. But then beyond that, we've got a group called Team Up, where we work on creating fantastic teams. And we're working with businesses on doing that.
Yeah.
So you can follow up into that. There's also, I suppose the best place is to join that club and find out wherever you're at, from, just wishing to do it to, hey, I've got this globally. I mean, what could you possibly offer me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, think of that Mark Cuban example. Well, I can give you some perspective on how to deal with your daughter. Would that be helpful? And he might go, oh, really? Whatever. So where do you need to develop next? Particularly human resources, because working with his daughter is not raising money.
Yeah.
It's developing a human resource that he's particularly committed to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always going to go to developing yourself as an individual, but then developing human resources, because that's where the money lies these days.
Yeah.
The millennials are out there going, how can I develop the resource that I am and then work with other people like me? And yeah, we'll make money, but we're going to contribute to the world and we're going to create powerful teams. That's what this is. And having a club where you can get together and share ideas, not try, dump your problems or blah, 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 but get together and create together with people who understand where we're coming from. What's possible there? Whew. Even with what Daryl and I are working with now, that just gets me excited.
Yeah, that's a good point, because sometimes when you get together with people and you want to talk about things more in depth, it does kind of turn into a crisis situation when people start talking about, oh, these problems in my life and all these things, and you go, well, it's good to talk about these things, but I'd like to do something productive. And
yes. Now,
and it's a good point about millennials specifically, but anybody who's out there trying to just enjoy their life more. And we're kind of we're waking up to that idea of the American dream is maybe not what we thought it was or what we want. And what we want is to enjoy the process of getting there. And that's through learning about ourselves and the team that we're on and just enjoying the path to get there. And everybody knows that. So, but they're just looking for ways to.
Yeah. You want to work with other people talented like you, not just groups of misery sharing. And, this isn't going to be another version of Facebook for innovators and entrepreneurs. This is going to be more like Team Rubicon, where innovators and entrepreneurs with skills, even if they're just aspiring to it, will discover your skills, get together and see what good can we do in the world. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm looking for. And I guess time's always a consideration. So it seems like it's about 6 months to go through the course. Is that right?
It is. But again, timing's different for each person.
Yeah.
The balance is studying it and digesting and integrating it into your real life experience. If you can do that in a day or 2 or 3, you can move along quicker.
Yeah.
Some people will go slower. But the marriage I want to do is get between the modules, the commentaries and the program and your real life making sense.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's other things. We've got recordings. We're going to have a dedicated Facebook group where people can talk about stuff like that. But it's getting this associate group, this club, whatever you want to call it, where people are bringing the best of what they're learning to the table and linking up with other people or getting the support they need with their business. Because not everyone's out to save the world. A lot of people are just trying to get their business to really work for themselves, their family, whatever.
Yeah.
But you can come in at whatever level you're at and find people who are committed to being innovators and entrepreneurs, making great decisions, creating fantastic teams, and supporting you as a unique individual, and then see what we can create together.
That all sounds good.
Even identify projects.
Yeah.
You know, as I've learned from you and the military and Team Rubicon, identifying projects where things need to happen. There's a real need in the world, and we can bring our resources, you know, and either make money for other people or ourselves or both or whatever, but, you know, make a real difference in the world. That's, you know, that's where we're going. And in the process of doing that, truly enjoy our own lives and be a living example to other people.
Well, I'm definitely intrigued.
Good. Then let's stop.
Yeah. I think all my questions got answered through the process, and I wish you could always have the opportunity to go through one-on-one with the person who is doing an online course. You know, sometimes you don't know what you're getting into. So I appreciate this opportunity to ask all the questions to you.
Yeah, well, we're setting up the possibility of doing Q&A webinars during the course when there's enough people interested, and then there'll be the Facebook. So we're doing that. You know, I do that at the other extreme through Master Design, where I work one-on-one for 7 or 8 months with people, you know, on their lives and their businesses and their investments and stuff. So, you know, it's getting the balance. But again, with the club, we can fine-tune that and get the balance right there.
So you might start the Innovators and Entrepreneurship course like with a cohort, so you wouldn't have to do it on your own necessarily.
Sorry. Yeah, exactly. In other words, that's a good idea. You can do it with another person.
That'd be great.
Or even your team in your business.
Yeah.
And say, okay, we'll work through this together. And we're open to looking at ways of fine-tuning that so it really works for you. So feel free to contact us. You know, we're innovators and entrepreneurs. You know, so don't be shy. Right?
Yeah. Oh, you guys would have to be leading by example.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thanks again, Christopher, and I appreciate your time on giving me the overview. It's very, very helpful.
It's been a pleasure, James, and thank you for your inspiration and questions.
My pleasure.